panda, 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 panda. I got broads in Atlanta, just to lean the family. Credit cards in the scammers, hitting the licks in the van. Legacies, family, wait and see, look like a panda. Going out like a Montana, honey killers on the helmets. Legacies, family, wait and see, panda. Package full, Danny, selling ball.
We're jamming to designer Panda. I got bras in Atlanta, so he says. I got bras in Atlanta. I got bras in L.A. I'm Erica Renee Davis. You can find me on Periscope, Snapchat.
You do have bras in L.A.
I got bras in L.A.
Unless you go renegade the whole time.
What? Oh, you're watching The Morning Score, your top of day fix for professional and for college sports and for gaming. Erica Renee Davis. You can find me on Snapchat, Periscope, Twitter, and on Instagram at Erica Renee D.
And you can find me on Twitter at Trevor Anthony. And, hit me up on the old Vine at Trevor Anthony as well.
For Trevor's travel tips.
Trevor's travel tips. And I'm going to be traveling a little bit coming up here.
That's right. You're going to...
Well, I got Long Beach, then Birmingham. I signed on with Honda for 5 IndyCar races.
Nice.
Yeah.
I drive a Honda.
Oh, nice. What do you, Accord?
A Honda Accord. It's not that nice. It's kind of beat up, but whatever. Gets me from point A to point B. And since we are The Morning Score, we want to make sure you know where to follow us. You can follow us on Twitter at The Morning Score. You can follow us on Instagram at The Morning Score Show. Make sure you follow us on YouTube and download this episode on iTunes, on Stitcher, on TuneIn. And I think that's it. But because we're The Morning Score, we're going to try a little something different.
Okay.
We're going to give you the scores from last night, just real quick.
Ooh, curveball.
Real fast. I'll start with the NBA.
All right.
Okay, so Grizzlies versus the Clippers.
Oof.
Home game for my Clipper Nation, 84-110. Knicks 90 to the Pacers 102. Heat 99 versus Pistons. The Heat are trying to make sure they keep the Heats.
The Heats is on.
The Heats is out. They're trying to make sure they keep that number 4 spot. 76ers 98 to the Raptors 122. The Thunder and the Spurs went into overtime. Thunder 98, Spurs 102. Spurs actually finished their regular season 40-1 at his house.
And that one just pissed me off.
Pisses everyone the hell
off.
What the hell?
All right, moving on to baseball. Your Doyers losing their home opener 4-2 to the Diamondbacks.
Damn, Yasiel.
We had Yasiel. The Pirates beat up on the Tigers 2-0. The Braves, who are a impressive 0-7 now after losing to the Nationals.
Come on, hometown.
1-2. The Padres lost to Philly 0-3. The Yankees squeaked one out against the Blue Jays 3-2. Orioles, after beating the Red Sox 9-5, are now 7-0 on the season. Marlins beat the Mets 2-1. Indians lost to Tampa Bay 1-5. Royals beat the Astros 3-2. Giants beat the Rockies 7-2. Angels squeak one out against the A's 5-4, and the Rangers crushed the Mariners 8-0.
Baseball. We love baseball.
Oh, and a Cubs updates, 6-1.
6-1. Up, going for that World Series title this year again. What about your IndyCar roundup? You got some IndyCar news.
Yeah. Hey, IndyCar race in Long Beach this weekend.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans on going down?
Yeah, I'm going to actually pack my cooler with my PBR and my flip-flops and my straw hat, and I'm going to take a couple of ham sandwiches and go down there.
That's how you do it.
Is that how you do it?
Oh, my God, yeah. Even if you don't like IndyCar racing or racing at all, it is a giant party down in Long Beach. So get that cooler and fill it up. Come on down.
Open container laws, do they apply or do they not apply?
Well, just make sure you grab like a cup or buy a beer and then, pour your other ones in after that.
Okay.
Something like that. It's a little tricky.
Do they sell hard alcohol at these IndyCar races?
Damn, Spanky, they do.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Come on.
I didn't know.
Get fired up.
Okay.
But I'm going to go with Simon Pagenaud to win this bad boy. He's currently the points leader, but hasn't won a race yet. There's only been 2 races.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
He's come second both times, so I think he's going to squeak one out on the streets of Long Beach.
Okay, the LBC. One more thing I want to talk about before we go into Mamba Day is that this is Vin Scully's last year. He is one of, can't even say one of, he is probably professional sports most, I don't know. Oh, you have a phone call.
Oh, 818.
818. That's the Valley. One of the most celebrated sportscasters in all of professional sports, and he's 88 years old. He's been doing this for 67 years. So just imagine how he has watched the trends of not only professional baseball change, but just of sports and the world in general. He's 88 years old.
It's crazy. I mean, I was actually just talking to my grandpa the other day, who is 89 years old. No. He's 88. And I'm like, you have seen so much.
Yeah.
Like the changes in the world. And Vince Scully.
Changes.
And they actually changed the name of Elysia Parkway. It's now Vince Scully Parkway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they did that. They had a big ceremony, but who knows? The Dodgers don't look very formidable this season, and you would hope that they at least get to the playoffs for Vin.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I mean, look, we have 7,000 more baseball games to go, so I think we'll be fine. Mamba Day, hashtag TMS Talk. Join the conversation on Twitter. End of Kobe's career. Not even the twilight, just the end. Just put the end on it. His last game is tonight versus the Utah Jazz. It's a home game for the Lakers. Kobe, of course, is the Lakers' all-time leader in points, games played, free throws made, 20 seasons with the Lakers, 5-time champion. As of Tuesday morning, here's a fun fact. Fans have paid an average of $997 for a ticket at Staples Center.
Blah.
Okay?
That's insane.
I mean, really?
$1,000 to go to a Laker game.
To go to a Laker game. Now,
regular season game.
a regular season game for a team that has no chance of doing anything, not only this year, but for the foreseeable future.
Right.
But I like to say that Kobe Trevor is having his Kanye moment. He's like, because of course Golden State is on the brink of history tonight. They could possibly beat your Bulls, 95-96 Bulls 72-10 record by winning 73 games tonight. But I'm like, Kobe's having his Kanye moment. He's like, Golden State, I'm gonna let you finish, but it's my last night in the NBA.
It's my day.
My night. And tickets to the Golden State game, I think, are like $437 on average. So even though Kobe's literally on his last leg, people are still going to see him and paying more than they're going to see the Warriors.
I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, it's Kobe, one of the greatest top 5, maybe even top 3, you could argue, of all time. So to see his final game, it's pretty sweet. But I don't know. Would you prefer spending $1,000 on going to the game or buying one of those snakeskin Kobe jerseys for $1,000?
Those y'all, this lambskin / snakeskin cap and jacket. I think the jacket costs about $6,000, and then the snakeskin lambskin hat has a 24 and like carat 3 or 8 karat gold, whatever, and that hat is $38,000. I would rather. I don't know. There are a lot of things I would spend money on before.
I'd rather buy a home.
Okay.
Put a down payment on. I mean, why is it all snakeskin and lambskin anyway?
Because he's a mamba, like a snake.
Oh, well done.
There you
I didn't
go.
even think of that. Duh.
Mamba.
But it's like, why do you want to? I guess you would never wear it. You would just put it in a case or something like that.
Well, 2 Chainz bought one. He's been wearing his. 2 Chainz.
2 Chainz. I mean, why not just buy the whole ensemble? But there's also the diamond fitted limited edition hat that's $24,000.
$24,000 and like 8 cents. So,
Like 8
so they have the 24 Kobe and then the 8 Kobe.
Ah, okay.
I got all the fun. I got all the nasty.
You got
stats
all the
today.
nasty stats. That's the nasty stat of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you had, say you had $200 million in the bank,
Okay.
would you buy that for Kobe or let's say any athlete?
I would. And it's interesting that you asked that because Herm Edwards this morning on Mike and Mike, someone, I think Golick said to him, there's a fan who spent $27,000 on 2 different tickets. So what's that? 27, 60, whatever, $56,000 $1,000 on courtside seats for tonight. And someone said to Herm Edwards, would you have spent that? He was like, I guess if he had the money, you'd spend it. But he was like, no. I'm like, Herm Edwards, you do have the money. So to answer your question, if I had the money, yeah, I would probably buy some foolishness like that.
I mean, well, have you seen the thing on ESPN? There's these 2 guys from Italy, I guess, that have been going around and following Kobe for like 30 games or something like that, buying court seats. I'm like, how rich are your parents?
Seriously.
I mean, that is. Those tickets are all like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to get courtside, and they're like at every game. They got all this Kobe gear.
No.
I'm like, man, it must be nice to just have like super rich parents.
Clearly.
Trust fund baby, and you can go do cool shit like that. 'Cause I would just follow Pearl Jam.
Would you?
I mean, I would buy my own bus and cruise around, pimping out, and just go to Pearl Jam shows.
See, I would just follow Georgia football. I would go to every single game.
That's
what I would do.
See, that's, I know we're totally off topic, but I never understand why rich people get bored. They say, like Colin Cowherd, another shout out to Colin.
What up, Colin?
They always talk about how these rich people get bored, so they have to come up with these things to do.
Yeah.
If I'm rich, I'm going to go to every baseball stadium. I'm going to go to every football stadium. I'm going to go to every hockey stadium. I'm going to go to every basketball stadium. I'm going to golf at as many golf courses around the world. Like, I don't get how you ever get bored when you're super rich.
It's ridiculous. I guess you just have so much money and so much access and nothing excites you anymore. Maybe that's what it is.
But it's like these are like sporting and crazy events. Like, it's got to be exciting. Like, even though you're going in a private jet and sitting in the best seats, these events are still cool.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's crazy to me.
It is crazy. And what's also crazy is that a metro station in Los Angeles, California, is renaming their station Kobe Station in honor of tonight's game. I think that's really neat.
That's I'm sure Kobe's really honored by LA's horrible public transportation. Is like, hey, Kobe Station.
Kobe. 400 to 500 media credentials have been given out for tonight's game. That's even more than we see given out during the finals.
Did we apply? we should have applied.
We're still waiting to hear back. We're still waiting to hear back.
Amazing.
Couple of Kobe's career highlights or lowlights. What you got? What?
I'm such a Kobe hater. Like, I respect the hell out of Kobe, but I'm such a Michael Jordan homer.
Yeah.
That the comparisons always drive me crazy. Yes, Kobe is amazing, and yes, he is the closest thing to MJ ever. But my favorite Kobe moments are his Lakers choking against the Suns in
game
05-06 when they were up 3-1 and ended up losing that series.
Yep.
And then also Kobe's Lakers choking to the Celtics in Game 7.
I love that. That was what?
That was 07-08.
07-08. That's right. Okay.
So those are my favorite Kobe moments.
I like those actually. Okay. I would say one of my favorite Kobe moments would be the 81-point game. Because I actually missed that game. I fell asleep on it, and I woke up and I saw the highlights. I was in and out of sleep. I was like, "Oh, this is like a joke or like a parody or something." But when I really came to, I could not believe I was beating myself up for missing that game. But that was a game against the Raptors, so who would have thunk it? Like, I didn't have any reason to stay up and try to watch that game and be really tuned in. And I woke up and watched SportsCenter. I was like, SHIT.
Yeah, I mean,
missed it.
And that's the thing. I guess the only reason why you're watching that game is that if you made it through the first quarter, I think he had like 42 points or something like that in the first quarter. Because then you're like, whoa, what's going to happen? And 81
points.
That's insane.
It is ridiculous. A second only to Wilt Chamberlain. Is that correct?
At a hundy.
And then my other one is when Kobe went to the prom with Brandy. Because Brandy, when I was growing up, was one of my favorite singers. She had all the cool songs. And then it was the perfect marriage between sports and hip-hop / pop culture. I was like, oh, Kobe's going to prom with Brandy. That was cute.
That's a good moment.
Back in the 90s, right?
Yeah, that's cute. I mean, it's fun, like when you're watching SportsCenter and Fox or whatever, and you're watching the Kobe highlights. It's actually a lot of fun because you watch Kobe 20 years ago, who was such a different player. Like,
so different.
This young, athletic dude flying all over the place. And you just see Kobe grow up and mature. And, hey, good for Kobe to be able to adjust with the game and do things. And what's great, and, we bash the Lakers and we bash Kobe, but they still won the NBA championship in 2010, which really isn't that long ago.
It wasn't, yeah, but they've been on such a downward spiral, I should say, until what have you done for me lately? And lately you haven't done anything but suck it up. Stink up the place. Stinking up Staples Center. Hashtag TMS Talk. Warriors are making / chasing history. The defending champs won their 72nd game of the season when they beat the Spurs the other night, Sunday night, 92-86. They gave the Spurs their first home loss. That was their first home loss
yeah.
of the season. Will the Warriors make history tonight? They play the Grizzlies, the depleted Grizzlies. But let me just go ahead and finish my thought before I give you my opinion.
Yeah.
Will they make history tonight and get 73 wins? And if they do get 73 wins and break the Bulls record, or if they just stay at 72-10 and tie the Bulls record but don't win the title, will all their efforts through regular season be all for naught? I just asked a lot of questions. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. I definitely think they're going to beat the Grizzlies. I mean, the Grizzlies had a shot on Saturday night, I believe. Mm-hmm. They should have won that game. They gave it up. Why the hell you put the ball in Lance Stevenson's hands with 9 seconds to go was beyond me. But I think the Grizzlies just get smoked tonight by like 20. Like Matt Barnes.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Because they just got smoked last night by the Clippers. And the Grizzlies, yes, they are definitely depleted, but they have such resolve. They have, Matt Barnes and Lance Stevenson, they're not the most prolific players, but they have a toughness in them, and they're not going to go 2 nights in a row and get embarrassed. I don't think. I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Grizzlies might even win. Please, God, please.
I mean, I would love for the Grizzlies to win. I will be cheering on the Grizzlies like crazy.
Yeah.
My whole thing is it has been an incredible season. I mean, these Warriors are amazing. One thing, once again, I'm a Bulls homer.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems to me the West this year is very watered down. It's not nearly as tough as it's been in the past couple years.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I think the only truly formidable teams are the Clippers and the Spurs and Oklahoma City.
Oh, I mean, 1 through 4, Warriors, Spurs, OKC, Clippers.
And then after that, it's like Memphis,
You're right.
all these other teams. Like a year or two ago, the West, like the 8th seed in the playoffs was a scary team to face.
Yeah, you're right.
This year, I think it's very watered down.
I agree.
So it's not as impressive, but it's still an amazing season. It's still an incredible feat. And if they win tonight, they will go down as the greatest regular season, I wouldn't say team, but obviously the record.
Yeah.
But they still need to win the championship. Now, I think they're going to blow through and win the championship.
Yeah.
But if they don't.
Does this season you just kind of shoulder shrug at the season?
Yeah, then I think it's just like, I mean,
Nanny boo boo.
Yeah, look at the Patriots 6 or 7 years ago. 16-0,
Yeah.
great. But then you lose in the Super Bowl.
True.
It's like, okay, cool, you were 16-0, but what does that even mean?
Let's hope they have a Patriots-like championship run where they lose a championship. Please.
Your Clippers need to do something about
Listen,
this.
we're going to try. We're going to try. Listen, I can't do anything about it. I can only scream at my television and yell and pray.
How many times did the Clippers play the Warriors? 4 times
And
this
we lost
season?
all 4 times, I think. Yeah. It's a new day. It's a new day on the Pacific Division. We used to beat them at least twice, sometimes 3 times, and now we just can't keep up. We cannot keep up. Hashtag TMS Talk. Join the conversation on Twitter and on Facebook because you guys are watching on Facebook. March Madness bracket winner presentation.
Woo!
I lost. I'm a sole loser, so I waited to the very last second to buy the Woodford Reserve. Woodford Reserve, feel free to contact ubnradio.com if you want to become an official sponsor.
Yeah.
This is my gift, my loser's gift. Woodford Reserve. Woodford Reserve. And it's interesting, though. I know, look at him. Whatever. I'm coming over to drink some soon. We hate him right now. Speaking of March Madness, we have a very special call-in guest today, Joe Gagliano. Is it Gagliano? Joe Gagliano. He is known infamously for orchestrating the biggest point-shaving scandal in the history of college sports, perhaps in the history of sports in general. His book, No Gray Areas, details his very first forays into the questionable decisions that took him from being a 20-something-year-old, trader, assistant, who turned into a multimillionaire by betting on games, which then landed him in prison. So he's now a convicted felon. He calls himself the world's stupidest smart guy. And so Joe is going to be calling in to talk about fixing Arizona State basketball back in the 90s. And we wanted to have him on during March Madness, but he couldn't because he had some other commitments that he might talk about. So I'm excited to have Joe call in a second.
Yeah, I'm excited to read the book because this is. I grew up in Arizona.
Yeah,
this
you
was
did.
this was actually happening while I was there. Oh, and I think Joe is joining us right now.
Okay, so now we have Joe on the phone. Welcome to the Morning Score, Joe. We just talked about you, gave your introduction. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I apologize if I'm late.
No, you're right on time. Like, now we're both looking at our phones like, what time? No, you're perfect, Joe. You are perfect. So we just gave our viewers a little bit of an introduction about no gray areas. What was that? About no gray areas. And just so that people can get more familiar with you, Joe, give our audience a little bit about your background and tell us how you started betting, I guess, illegally.
Erica, it's been an interesting journey, that's for sure. The book, No Gray Areas, outlines for the first time the true details behind the ASU point-shaving scandal, which is, still one of the largest scandals in sports history. And I say that not to glamorize it or Hollywoodize it or anything like that, because this happened in 1993, 94, and what is that now, 22 years later, I have been offered deals after deals to tell the story. I never wanted to tell the story. I never wanted to put myself or my family back or in that spotlight with the negativity that was around it. But in 2008, when the financial world kind of fell apart, I was blessed. You know, after the ASU scandal, I built a pretty large company, had some assets, and when the world fell apart in 2008, and a lot of people got kicked in the gut, and I ended up applying for an SBA loan with my father. And, you know, I could sit here and say that I was low-hanging fruit for the government. I could sit here and say that the bankers knew everything about it. I could sit here and tell you that my dad got fingerprinted for the loan. But, you know, long story short, I allowed my father's signature on that loan without the proper of a power of attorney. And so I ended up getting indicted again in 2012.
Okay,
And
so Joe, just hold on one second because I want to make sure everyone out there understands. So you spent your first 15 months in prison for the ASU point shaving scandal back in 2000. Is that correct?
that's correct. I got indicted in '98. I got sentenced in '99, and I spent pretty much all of 2000 plus in prison for the point shaving scandal.
And then you got in more trouble after the financial. I mean, no, Joe, listen, we're not ragging on you. I just want people to understand.
No, I get it. You know, I put this book out there with the goal to try to show people and teach people that some choices we make in life will have a consequence, no matter how big or how small we may think they may be. And so, you know, in 2012, I got indicted again for conspiracy to commit bank fraud, and you know, there's just no way you're going to fight the federal government. So I ended up pleading guilty, as innocent as I thought I was to many of the charges that they brought. You know, I did allow my father's signature to be signed on that document without the proper power of attorney. And so, you know, if I would have fought him in trial and I would have lost, I would have been looking at a mandatory of 10 years. So I took a plea deal and I got sentenced to 30 months.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, that sounds pretty reasonable, Joe. I mean,
reasonable. Okay.
I think I would have done the same exact thing you did. Now, Joe, I want to go back to the point shaving, just from that moment. I mean, you're a pretty young guy, and you know, for any young guy that has this opportunity, I mean, it's got to be incredibly hard to say no to this, because point shaving, from my experience, and I lived in Arizona while this was going on, so I remember when it all came out. It seems like one of those crimes that, you know, is a no-brainer, because it doesn't seem like you're going to get caught. Mm-hmm. I mean, because, you know, you're watching these games and nobody had any clue what was going on. So can you kind of take us through, and I don't want to give away, because I want people to go out and buy the book, because the book sounds extremely intriguing, and I'm definitely going to read it. But can you kind of take us through as much as you want to tell us without giving away too much of the book, from like start to finish?
Sure. I'll give you it. I'll talk about anything. There's nothing off limits, guys. You know, I can tell you that I was extremely blessed growing up. I have a loving family. My parents are still together after 50 years in marriage. I have a brother and a sister, extremely tight Italian-American family growing up on the northwest side of Chicago. I had every opportunity that one could ask for. I had opportunities for education. I went to college. I went to college for 3 years. I never really went to school. Let's put it that way.
It's my kind of guy.
I ended up leaving college my junior year to go work at the Chicago Board of Trade. And I started off as a clerk down there. And, you know, we are all products of our environment. And here I am, a 22, 23-year-old kid working on arguably the most expensive financial market traded on the trading floor and so I'm looking up to, at that point in my life, I'm looking up to the successful traders. And you know who they are. You know who they are. You could pinpoint them. But pretty much anyone down there is a success. But then there's the ones that are the cream of the crop. And in order to become a successful trader, you are playing in the gray area. Yeah. There's just no way around it. You are not going to walk a fine line. You are going to do things to manipulate the markets. You're going to do things where you have advantage from institutional monies coming in. So that was what I learned at an early stage in my life. I learned acceptability to the gray areas. And that acceptability, taking that first step and compromising my integrity for the first time at the age of 22, 23 years old, and learning that it's okay, that kind of morphs into making decisions. Whereas when the ASU thing is presented to me here 2 years after I'm on the floor at the Board of Trade, only because my brother is going to school at ASU, I didn't have the character or the integrity at that age to say no to it because I was already embracing the gray areas that people were doing on the trading floor.
And isn't it difficult to make a decision that is online or indicative of your moral compass, if you will, when all the powerful people around you who are rich are doing shady shit every day? Like, I can't say I blame you.
Man, I'll tell you, Erica, you hit that head on, and I don't want to make it sound like I was rationalizing. I should have had the character, I should have had the fortitude, I should have had the integrity to say no. And I was raised better than that. I was raised in a great family with values. My father was a police officer in Chicago for years. I should have been strong enough, but I wasn't. I was weak because I wanted instant gratification. I wanted to be accepted into the world that these guys were in, and the easiest way to get there with the path of least resistance was to accumulate money. This way I could trade. And so, yeah, you hit it right on. It's all the upper echelon is doing it, and they're getting away with it, so why shouldn't I?
So why shouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, when your role models are doing it, it's I can see how you justify it.
Like, get on board or get left.
Yeah, and I actually, Joe, it's funny. I lived in Chicago, and I had some buddies who were clerks down at the board. So I know exactly what's, how easy it is to kind of get in there.
Yeah, and for our non-sports viewers out there, kind of walk us through, Joe, your very, very first game that was fixed that you worked with Headache and the center. Were both of them involved in the very first game and fixing that very first game, Norton?
No, Erica, it wasn't the center. Mario Bennett was the center. He went on to have a little bit of a pro career for a while. I think he played out there by you guys in L.A. It was Headache Smith, which was an absolute stud, academically a stud, led the Pac-10. It was the Pac-10 at that point, not the Pac-12 as it is now, but led the Pac-10 in minutes played, led the Pac-10 in free throw percentage, 3 points shots and made, defensive all Pac-10 player of the year. I mean, he dictated everything that happened on that team. Bill Frieder was the coach, and Bill just relied on Headache to run that team and to run that offense. I mean, I pretty much think he played 40 minutes a game that year. And then we had the other guard, Isaac Burton. So really, you got the point guard and you got the shooting guard, and you pretty much dictate where that ball is going, and how that offense is going to be played. And it's funny, not funny, but people think of point shaving as guys going out there, whether it's in basketball, tanking shots and missing shots, and that's not point shaving at all. Point shaving is when you could manipulate the outcome of a score or the outcome of a game simply by giving your the guy that you're defending an extra 2 or 3 feet to do what he wants to do. Maybe down the stretch you're going to brick a free throw or two. Maybe down the stretch you're going to turn over the ball a few times. Maybe down the stretch you're going to foul when you need to foul. But during the course of the game, allowing the player that you're defending to do more freely what he wants to do to control the game, that's really what the core of point shaving is all about.
And that's so interesting because I remember I watched some of your videos, and when I heard you say that, I was like, the average sports person. I would always thought it was points. But now when you break it down like that, you can kind of see like, oh yeah, I'm going to give this guy an easy layup. I'm going to turn the ball over. So how did this game go down? I know it ended up, you said 6 points, and somehow they got it at exactly 6 points, where as a sports fan, to me, that just blows my mind that they were able to hit it on the head. And did you say 6 because there was some leeway? Can you explain to us and to the fans listening, like, why 6 points was so crucial?
Sure. I mean, it's certainly messed up my mind that it landed on 6. I mean, Headache Smith scored 39 points that day. He had 10 three-pointers on the first game. I think it was a career high for him. Absolutely just destroyed the game offensively. But when I talked to him the day before the game, the betting line opened up at ASU minus 12.5 to 13 points. Mm-hmm. So I knew I was going out to Vegas with a boatload of money. I knew I was going to bet with every bookmaker I could possibly get an account with, and I knew the action on that Thursday night game was going to move that line a little bit, because odds makers and bookmakers, the end of the day, a bookmaker doesn't really care who wins or who loses. All they care about is the 10% that they're charging. Mm-hmm. So, everyone that goes, Vegas makes money because everyone that goes to Vegas pays for an opinion. So whether, if the Bears are playing the Packers and you guys bet the Bears and I bet the Packers, the bookmaker can care less who wins because they just made 10% off both of us. Mm-hmm. So that's the bookmaking game.
Okay.
But you look at this thing, the line opened up at 12.5 or 13. I knew when I bet the game with the dollars I was going to bet that the line would come down a little bit. So I figured, okay, if I move the line 2 or 3 points, the closing line is going to be 9.5 or 10, let's call it.
Okay.
So at that point, I told Headache the day before the game, I said, listen, this game's got to land 6. If it don't land 6, you're not getting paid. And the reason why I did that, because I figured there was no way in God's green earth this guy could possibly hit the number 6. He's going to miss it by a bucket. He's going to miss it by a couple buckets. And even if it landed 9, I'm still going to cash these tickets.
True. And Joe, I want to ask you really quickly, did Headache already have a gambling debt at this point?
He did. My brother went to ASU at the time and lived next door to a bookmaker on campus by the name of Benny Silman. And Headache and Benny lived next door to each other. And I guess Headache got into Benny for around $25,000 was the balance, in addition to what he had lost during that football season, what he had already paid. So this whole thing started with Headache trying to erase that $20,000 or $25,000 gambling balance.
Okay.
So then he lands on the 6 miraculously, and everybody's happy. So game 1, everybody's feeling good. And then,
well, I was feeling good. I don't know about everyone else.
You're rolling. How much did you make? How much did you make off of that game?
The first game, Erica, and it's all documented in the book. The first game, I brought $500,000 to Vegas, and I had 15 bookmaker accounts on the East Coast and in the Midwest. So I did well. I know it was probably north of about $1 million after everything was said and done on the first game, and it was. I'll talk about the indictment when you guys want to get there. I'm sure you want to chronologically go through each game, right?
Well, I mean, we're not going to go through every single game because, again, we don't want to give away too much. But we just, we want to make sure that people understand how it all started, at least. And
I got you. Well, the first game was a Thursday, and the second game was a Saturday, and it just so happened that Sunday was Super Bowl weekend. And the Dallas Cowboys were playing the Buffalo Bills, and there was just a ton of money in Vegas. So it was just an absolute perfect 3-day period to pull this thing off, because there was so much flipping money in Vegas that no matter what I brought, no matter what I did with the bookmakers, I really was not going to move that line.
Yeah.
And so the same thing happened on the Saturday game against Oregon. I told Headache on that Saturday morning right before shoot-around, I said, hey, this game has to land 6. And sure enough, I mean, I could tell you Arizona State was probably a 20-point better team that day, and the game landed 6. And I cashed tickets again, and here I parlayed the Thursday money into the Saturday money, and, that should have been it.
Yep.
That should have been it. There was a dream weekend. It was cash. Nobody knew about it. I was under the radar, and that should have been it. And
with Headache, so now is his debt at this point, is it cleared with these 2 games? Or did he still owe some money?
No, I cleared the debt. Part of the deal I had with him is I'd give him give him $50,000 a game, and he had to take care of whoever else he wanted to take care of on the team, and that his gambling debt would be wiped away.
Now, I just want, for people who are just tuning in, we're talking with Joe Gagliano, the mastermind, if you will, of the Arizona State University point shaving scandal from the 90s, from 23 years ago. Before we ask you any more about the actual scandal, I do want to know, Joe, when you watch games now, college or pro, do you speculate that point shaving is still a thing, or do you just know, just from watching, can you just tell that people are still doing this?
I'm going to get a lot of people mad at me by saying what I'm going to say, but I'm going to tell you that point blank in my mind, anytime you're going to link money and rewards and gambling to personal performances, you are going to have greed and corruption. There is just no flipping way around it at all. And so, yes, I believe this happens a heck of a lot more than the public even can remotely think about. I believe when you're looking at sites like FanDuel and DraftKings, the amounts of corruption that are inside of those that we don't even know about yet. When you really break down what a DraftKings or a FanDuel and you realize who the investors are inside of it, and you see a Comcast owning a large piece of it, you see an NBC owning a large piece of it, and then you really break it down even further and you see, what if I was a trainer on a team? What if I was a water boy on a team, and I got some inside information on a Thursday game on a Tuesday night that, hey, our star player has a twisted ankle, and we really didn't put it out there because he's questionable at best, but I know he's hobbling. Or hey, our star player got into a whole argument with his wife, and his mind's all messed up. That's inside information. Now, if you had that inside information and you were on a board of a publicly traded company and you traded that stock based on that information, you would be indicted and they would throw away the key.
Good point.
So how is FanDuel, DraftKings, or any type of sports gambling where personal performance is directly correlated to dollars, how can that be legit? There's just no way around it.
Now, and with that, there's, I'm just going to ask this question too. With the NFL is actually seeking a football team in Las Vegas. Do you think? What are your thoughts on that? Joe?
Well, I think the ownerships of these leagues and the teams, they speak one message in private, and they speak another message in public. The message that they speak in public when they're talking about their anti-gambling, the integrity of the game, and the moral compass of their players, that's their message they preach publicly. When they're behind the doors and they're talking among their partners, they embrace Vegas, they embrace gambling, they embrace FanDuel, they embrace sports or DraftKings. And let me tell you why. Because when, like an idiot like me, let's say I had an account on FanDuel, and let's say I was home tonight and doing nothing but flipping channels on TV, and all of a sudden the Houston Rockets are going to play the armpit of the NBA. I don't even know what team's out there that's lousy right now.
Lakers.
Let's say the Rockets are playing the Lakers. Okay. Well, I know Kobe's coming out tonight, so you probably have some attention on that. But let's just say it was a normal night with two teams that are having horrific years.
Okay.
Now I'm at home on a couch on a Wednesday night. I am more prone to stay up and tune that TV on to that game because there's a FanDuel or a DraftKings that I can hand select players and I can have some bets actually going on that game. And that's what the owners of these teams love about it, because it'll draw attention to their sub-market teams or their subpar teams in ways that they could never get it otherwise.
So basically, if I'm going to watch, let's say the Sacramento Kings are really sorry right now, I have a higher vested interest in watching them if I'm betting on one of their guards to do well. I'm going to actually watch the game, which means advertisers know that there are more eyes on their ads, which means owners are happy. So it's cyclical. It's a very incestuous relationship, it seems.
It's all about the Benjamins. That's all it is, and it's no different why they're lobbying hard to get a team out there in Vegas, which for years they were against, because they realize the attention and attraction to their sports are driven by people, more so driven by people that have gambling interests or some type of monetary interest in the outcomes rather than the casual fan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And before we let you go, I do definitely want to highlight the positive in your life, because you did make some egregious mistakes in your early 20s, but you somehow continued to stay, I guess, above the fray, because you always were smart enough to keep money aside and put things in different people's names so that you were always able to come out basically kind of on top, even though, you did serve your time. So describe some of your happiest moments now that you've closed that gray area of your life.
Erica, I appreciate you saying that the way you said it, but, let me clarify something if I could. The haters are going to hate no matter what. I mean, I typed this book, and I decided to print this book, when I got out of prison, and I Googled my name, and I saw a magazine called the Mob Report, which I don't even know how the heck there's a magazine called the Mob Report.
You're a mobster now, Joe. You're a mobster.
Yeah, I guess so. And it was a 20th anniversary of the ASU thing, and these guys went in there and said that I was related to the notorious Joe Gagliano. I was his nephew, who's the crime boss out of Chicago. I'm involved in prostitution, loan sharking, all this craziness, right? Now, I've got 4 kids. My oldest kid is 20. My youngest son is 7, soon to be 8. And I'm thinking about this stuff, and that perception is reality. So my oldest daughter, her boyfriend, her parents thought I was the devil, because that's what their perception was about me, was what they saw on the internet. So that's when I decided to finally publish it, and I decided to finally put my painful journey out there, with realizing fully that the haters are going to hate, and there's no way I'm going to change the haters, but maybe some of the people that don't really know me, that only see the perception of things that were written on the internet, can possibly understand that, hey, there was a rhyme to reason as to some of the poor choices I made, and that I'm trying to use those poor choices now as a platform to possibly help people that might be facing some choices themselves, and to let them know that there's a consequence for all the choices we're going to make.
You want to jump in
Yeah,
there?
well, yeah, and I'm just, and I think that's such a great thing, because one thing you said earlier is just, getting to that goal, but doing it as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, shaving some points on a game is going to get you rich quick. But
Yeah.
I love that now you are, obviously, you serve time, you dealt with the consequences, and just putting it out there saying, hey, trying to do things quick is not always the right way, and just be prepared if you're going to try to handle that. So I think it's a great lesson that you're providing people. Now, Joe, this would be a spectacular movie. Is there any thoughts of like a movie potentially?
Well, I'm going to tell you guys, straight up, as candid as I can, I've been approached by several different operations, several different production companies. And I'm also going to tell you this. For me, it's not about dollars. Like, people say, oh, yeah, he's a 2-time felon. He wrote a book. He's trying to make money. Man, I'll go toe-to-toe with that person 8 days a week, because that is so flippin' far from the truth.
And you already have money, too, though.
No, well, money is a frame of mind. Money is it's a whole different view of money now than I had 20 years ago, okay?
Okay.
Now it's like I'm performing for an audience of one, and I know who my one is, and then I've got my family to take care of. So that's my perception of money. I don't have to impress anyone. But I'm telling you straight up, I've been offered, 7-figure checks in front of me that I have flat out turned down, because it's not, I don't want something out there that's going to be Hollywoodized or sensationalized. It's something that, if something's going to be out there, it's going to outlive my years. It's going to it'll be my legacy for my kids. And I don't want a message out there that's not going to be built on integrity and built on the truth of the details that happened.
Nice. Everyone out there, you can go to nograyareas.com, and that's gray, G-R-E-Y, nograyareas.com. You can get the book on Amazon. It's one of Amazon's bestsellers right now. You can follow No Gray Areas on Twitter at No Gray Areas, and also on Facebook at No Gray Areas. Look, Joe made it so simple for us. We can find you at No Gray Areas all over the internet. So simple. It's foolproof. We got you.
Tried to make it easy for everyone.
And I love it. I mean, I could sit here and ask you questions all day, but you know what? I'm going to go out. I'm going to buy your book because I'm so thoroughly intrigued, and I hope all of our fans are intrigued, and we are able to ask you enough questions to really get those juices flowing, so people will go out and read the real story behind.
Yeah, it's a great book. I finished it up yesterday, and I emailed you. I let you know that I was beyond intrigued, and that is the honest to God truth. We appreciate you for calling in and joining the Morning Score Sports Show with Erica and Trevor. And you have to either come back on the show via call in or Skype, or when you're in Los Angeles, you had to come sit on the panel with us.
You guys have me whenever whenever you could have me. I'd be honored to be on the show. So. Erica, you have my information. Trevor, you have my information. Don't be afraid to give me a call, whatever I could do.
All right, Joe, best of luck with No Gray Areas. We'll be talking to you soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, guys. Thanks again. Take care.
Let me tell you, Joe is smart. When you listen or read the book, Joe is like, look, I'm making some mistakes, but I'm rich, bitch. And I love it. I mean, I know it sounds so, I don't want to praise bad behavior, but while he was making bad decisions, he was making smart decisions. He was moving his money around, making sure his family was going to be taken care of when he was in prison, making sure that he was going to be taken care of. He made some very bad business deals back in, I think, 2005 with a former NFL player whose last name is Fowler. Long story short, he made sure that he moved his money around and took care of himself for when he got back out of prison. So that's one thing that was very intriguing to me.
And you know what? It's so hard because I know the environment that he was in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that Board of Trade, you're young, you're hungry.
Yeah.
You see, I mean, we talked about it. It's all these guys and ladies that you look up to are all rich, and they're doing some shady shit.
Yep.
So how in your minds don't you go for it? And with point shaving, God, I can't wait to read the book because I wanted to ask him. Obviously, we didn't have time.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we don't want to give away everything.
Yeah.
So people do go read the book. But those first two games,
yes.
Everything's going good. How brilliant is it to do it on Super Bowl weekends?
Yes.
I mean, because money's going everywhere. They're just going to assume that people are drunk or high or living the Vegas lifestyle and betting because they're there for the Super Bowl. So brilliant. Everyone's on cloud nine.
Yeah.
And then somewhere, greed, I'm guessing. I don't know. I'm going to read the book. But somehow it all falls apart and they end up getting caught.
Yeah.
And just, that's what's, it's a bummer to me, selfishly. This would be such an amazing movie.
It would be a great movie.
But I get it because right now with the book that he wrote, he's in control and this is his words and this is his story, where if he did give it to Hollywood,
my God,
they would change it around and he loses control. So he's a smart guy. So obviously, but damn.
So,
it would be a good movie.
I would go see it opening weekend, Joe. Make this thing a movie. But no, I get it because you definitely lose the power of your own voice and telling your own story when you do give it to the Hollywood execs. However, you guys, you must read this book. It's it explains it explains complicated concepts in a very simple way, because even as sports fans, sometimes betting and spreads and lines and overs and unders and parlays kind of go over even our heads. But you clearly understand from reading this book exactly what the method to his madness was. And it was just super simple. And it started, like he said, with Headache Smith wanting to get out of debt. And then he meaning Joe, as a young 20-something-year-old, just kept being greedy. And he mentions the word greed a lot in the book. But again, 25 years old, you're making a couple of $1 million on a couple of college games and no one's really checking for. I can't say that I wouldn't have done it either.
Well, and also Headache, I think he was, from what I've read, he was part of the problem as well. Mm-hmm. Because, from what Joe just told us, he was down 55,000. No, 25,000.
25,000.
He was down 25,000. But he made 100,000, so he's up 75,000 after those two games. As a college student, it's like most of us are thinking, just stop.
Just stop.
But when it comes so easy, you're like, oh, I could. And that's what always trips people up. So I'm going to read the book because I want to know what happened. This perfect little scenario.
Yeah.
Like so many good crime movies and crime books, everything's going good. And then you're like, oh, one more job. Let's do one more job.
Just one more.
Just one more. Just a tip.
Hashtag Tim. Just put the tip in. Hashtag TMS Talk. We only have a few more minutes. Are we going to try to do hot potato, hot seat?
Yeah, let's do it because
Okay.
there's some cool.
I didn't bring the football
in the
again.
hot potato.
Okay. I'll let you go first.
Okay.
Jordan Spieth. Masters moment.
Oh my! That's actually why I wore this black shirt today. This is a black golf shirt in honor of Jordan Spieth and his meltdown on the 12. Poor guy. I mean, I think he'll bounce back. He will be fine. He had two. When you really think about it, he had two terrible shots. Mm-hmm. And the whole day, guy just needed to take a breath in between. But I think he'll be fine because he ended up fine. All right, let's go. Oh. Josh Gordon fails his drug test.
Josh Gordon fails his drug test. Listen, his drug test was failed, I think, a month ago. Now he has to try to get reinstated by August the 1st. Listen, if you're addicted to weed, you're the first person I know addicted to weed. But maybe he's having some more psychological problems that transcend the marijuana. At any rate, I really do hope that Josh Gordon can get his mind right and use his God-given talents and wreck this league, like his new roommate, Johnny Manziel, used to say.
Well, I was going to say, I'd be smoking weed, too, if I lived with Johnny Manziel. Holy hell.
Baseball's so boring.
Oh, my goodness. Baseball has gotten so boring. This new sliding rule that you can't slide hard into people. It's like when your sport is dying, when people don't want to watch the damn game anymore, you have to put a stop to ending these lame rules. Sliding, come on, it's part of the game. Running the catcher, I'm sorry, the golden boy Buster Posey got hurt. He's a catcher.
He's a catcher.
You get rammed into. These are exciting moments that keep the players alive. You know, I could go on for days.
Hot seat is done for
Yeah, I know,
Trevor.
hot seat is done.
Okay.
NHL.
NHL, really
Playoffs.
quick. Okay, Panthers in 7, Tampa Bay in 6, Capitals in 4, Rangers in 6. That's my East. My West, Dallas in 4, Hawks in 6, Ducks in 5, Kings in 5. Go Kings, go!
Kings! I'm just going to say this. Kings versus Capitals in the Stanley Cup Finals. Kings!
Go Kings, go.
In 7. I'll say in 7.
Okay.
I'll say in 7.
Okay, for the actual everything.
For everything.
Okay. For everything. Thank you guys. This is our
Everything.
very first Facebook broadcast for the Morning Score. Thank you guys for watching. I don't know if you're commenting or not because whatever.
I hope they're commenting.
I hope so too.
Good, bad, ugly, whatever.
Whatever. And thank you, Joe, so much. Guys, make sure you go to nograyareas.com to get his book. Go to Twitter and follow him at Twitter at No Gray Areas and also on Facebook at No Gray Areas. It is a great, informative read that gives you a glimpse into the sordid world of sports betting and of greed. And thank you guys again for watching. I'm Erica Renee Davis. You can find me on Snapchat, Periscope, Twitter, and on Instagram at Erica Renee D.
And God, Joe, I wanted to ask him so many questions in my head. I felt like my questions were all over the place because there were so many things I wanted to ask him.
Yeah.
But I loved it. Thank you again, Joe. This has been an awesome show. I am Trevor Anthony. You can find me on the old Twitter at Trevor Anthony. Find me on Vine at Trevor Anthony. And God, big night. Kobe, Mamba night.
Mamba night. Warriors on the brink. NHL playoffs start tonight. You can find us on The Morning Score, on Twitter at The Morning Score, on Instagram at The Morning Score Show. Download this episode on iTunes, on Stitcher, on TuneIn. Watch us and subscribe to us on YouTube. And until next time, we're going to jam out to Panda. I got bras in Atlanta. Thank you, Joe.
Go Grizzlies! Go Grizzlies!
Go Grizzlies! The Woodford Reserve.
I got broads in Atlanta, just to lean the family. Credit cards in the scammers, hitting the licks in the van. Legacies, family, wait and see, look like a panda. Going out like a Montana, honey killers on the helmets. Wait and see, look like a panda.